Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the KDK podcast, episode 3. My name is Kong.
Yo, it's Dala.
Hey, it's cool.
Today, we'll be talking on the topic of breaking. If you guys didn't know, one of our passions is breaking. And to start it off, we can talk about how we first started dancing. Cool, why don't you explain your experience?
Yeah, because I guess I was the first one to start breaking out of all of us.
Yeah, actually, now that you said that, that is true.
I never even thought about that.
I'm 28 right now, but when I started breaking, it was around when I was 9 or 10 years old. So that is around 2001 or 2002 ish. And damn, I feel old saying that. But okay, so when I was younger, I have a cousin called, his name is Zool. And every time he came over to my house, he would always break. And I also had my oldest brother who is into martial arts too. So sometimes he would show me a little bit of some breaking moves. At the time, he didn't really know too much about breaking, but uh, we were always around breaking when we grew up because my cousin Zool would always come over and he just started breaking, and then we would break too. But at that time, we didn't know what the heck it was. We just saw movements and we fell in love with it. When I said we, I'm talking about me and Kong because we obviously we're family and Dallas family too. But when I saw that, I fell in love with it. I guess it was just fun to me, but I had no idea what that was. And later on in life, which isn't even later on, it was just pretty much at that moment, or even just a few months later, my cousin Zoa started to teach me how to break. And he would teach me what the moves were called. He would also teach me how he would also show me videos. But then what really started it was he started taking me out to meet people within the community. At that time, I didn't know anything about breaking, and I'm sure he didn't know too much at that time too, because in Minnesota, and at that time you really had no idea, or you didn't know much about anything outside of Minnesota unless you had DVDs, not even DVDs. What the hell am I talking about? VHSs, and he would just take me out to meet with other friends that he knew, and we would just practice. And at the time, we would just go to each other's house and practice. And I was the young guy out of everyone, and I guess that's my first introduction because he was the one who introduced me to it, and he was the one who brought me out and introduced me to his friends, and that's how I got started. Because yeah,
All right. I guess I can go next because my experience on how I first started was similar to Cool. Again, with our brothers. And when we were younger, my cousin Zool, also known as B-Boy Zeus, he would always come over and practice at our house. And so we'll always be exposed to like breaking. And the thing about our cousin Zeus is he was like pretty good. I would say he was like one of the better B-Boys in the Minnesota scene at that time, even though like Minnesota at the time didn't really have a scene. But he was like really good, you know. And so when I first saw like Koo and my other brother Money started breaking too, you know, I was like what, around 8 maybe, you know, around there. Uh I like slowly just started to do it too, you know. Something about when you see people do things around you, you just do or gravitate towards it. And it's not even like my brothers and my cousin was doing it. It was like my older sister's guy friends were coming over to hang out, and they were practicing. You know, they were maxing out flares. You know, so I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I started doing it. But when I was doing it around that age of like around 8 or 10. I was that like annoying kid, right? Like, hey man, hurry up, get out the way. We're trying to practice here, man. We're trying to max out flares. So like, I'll be the kid that they brush off away.
Those kids that just came in and rolled around the ground.
Yeah, I get out man. I did not know what I was doing, but
Eventually, I caught on. I started learning what breaking is a little bit. Like understanding like footwork, freeze, power, blow ups. So I slowly started getting into it, and then like with my cousin, my brothers doing it, like I would like start practicing more and start understanding like the dance more. So that's how I first started too, kind of similar to Cool. And if you guys didn't know, like back at those times, like well, that was like 2005s. Cool was like what 14, and he was like ground power master. Man. He had all of the ground power variations.
Cool had all the windmill variations too, bro.
I had 90s and 2000s.
He had all the windmill variations, man. That was rare to see in Minnesota at that time. Yeah, Nutcracker, Mummy.
They called me.
Damn.
They called me the prodigy because I was like,
Cool
I was the
good.
youngest kid, and then everyone couldn't do it. They were all in high school, and I was the one. I would always go hang out there because Zoe always bring me to hang out there. But I was the kid who was in elementary. And they were like, man, this little kid good.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, man, I remember those battles when you meet up at the YMCA's. All right, Cool, you go. They see a little kid, bang, Cool, start doing this shit. Then they're like, we just got smoked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, what about you, Dollar?
For me, so I moved down south sometime when I was in elementary, and I remember I came back during spring break, and I was hanging out with my cousins, Cool, Kong, Zeus, and some of the other crew members, and we went to a studio and they were practicing. And I just was there hanging out for spring break, and I saw it, was like, yo, this shit is tight, man. Like, I want to learn this shit, So I saw my cousins, Cool, Kong, Zeus. I mean, I've always seen it as a kid, too, just like Cool and Kong has said. We've seen our cousin Zeus just practice doing illusions and a bunch of breaking moves, and it was just, oh, that's cool. But the moment that it really, really was like, oh, damn, I want to get into this. It was just, came back during spring break, went to a session with him, and I came back home in Arkansas. I started practicing Nike freezes.
I lived in Arkansas.
Yeah, I had my long blonde hair, and I remember Pong and Rajan, and they were like,
only movie had.
yeah, and they were like, oh, they're B-boy blonde because I had my long hair, my
Yeah,
skater
you look
hair,
like you were blonde.
and they had a blonde hair. Yeah, but that was my like big moment into it. Just boom, I saw my cousins, Ku Kong Zeus, and I saw all their friends practicing. I went back home down south. I was like, man, I'm gonna learn this, man. I want to be cool too, So I started practicing Nike freezes, man. So that was how I got into it.
So just off that, what would you say was your first real battle experience?
My first one was pretty much our crew battle at River Center in the backstage.
Yeah, I remember
We
that.
what was it? Unique.
Unique technique.
Unique
Yo, I
technique.
remember it. Unique technique, man.
Those Hmong crew that
They were also performers, so they had like
Yeah.
flips and all
And
that.
I just remember, yeah, that was probably you said first crew battle, right? Or first battle
Just your
experience?
first like real battle experience. Where like, oh shit, it's a real battle.
Yeah, that was the first one for me. And
That one was dope as hell.
I just remember Cool hitting a crazy ass like 4 or 5 round 2000 at the end, and everybody was just like, "Oh, it's over." But
We were like,
Yeah.
how old were we? Seventh grade, 8th grade?
I was 12. I
You were
remember that,
12?
like around there. Yeah, I
I'm
had
12,
my
I'm-
favorite white.
I'm 14
white
or
sweater.
something around there.
yeah, that was for me. That was the backstage of River Center. That was my first experience. Yeah, battle experience.
Yeah, man, it was on YouTube, man. I wonder.
Jigs from Wisconsin.
yeah.
He had it, but he deleted it. But
Man,
that was a
hated it.
legendary
No,
battle,
just
man.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was mine too. Yeah.
That was yours too?
Yeah.
I think mine was, I think I was about 10 at the time. And at the time, I only was breaking with Zoel's friends from high school and that such. And he finally told me one time to go to I think it was at the community center. He took me to the community center for a battle. So I thought, oh, it's just going to be some of his friends and we're just going to battle for fun. When I got in there, boom, I think that's the moment when I saw the community of Minnesota. because I saw Daylight. That was the first time I saw B-Boy Daylight, who's
Dang,
he's
you
really
saw
big.
Daylight that young?
Yeah,
When you were that
yeah.
young?
I was young. I saw
Wow.
Daylight. He was actually writing people's name in who wanted to battle. I saw Daylight. I saw, I think Jarrell, Kid Rillo was there, and I think a lot of the Warrior guys
Yeah.
were there. I just don't really remember too much, but I remember those two. I remember Daylight because I went to talk to him to tell him, hey, can you put me in? He was like, you want to be in? Sure. And I was like, yeah. So he put me in.
This
I
little
remember-
kid.
And it was crazy too because my first battle experience was a dude who I never saw anyone who had to stop. That dude bit his feet every time.
What the
I
heck?
break it, he'll bite his feet. He'll bring his
With a
feet
shoe
up
on.
to the shoe. Yeah. He'll bring a shoe up to his mouth, he'll bite it, and it'll do like a hamster freeze.
What
I'm
the
thinking, what the
heck?
hell, man? I'm thinking, yo, what the hell is going on? What did I get myself into? And it was so weird because it was, I guess, I just never seen any of them at all. It was the first time I got introduced to. That's why I say I got introduced to the scene of Minnesota at that time, because I seen so many people that I didn't even know who they are. A lot of times Zoe will just bring me out to his friends to go practice, but this was where I saw people of that I didn't know and that were good too, you know. And they had different styles too, because a lot of times we go hang out with our friends and their friends, we all just there's really no different styles that they had. It's always, oh, you can do flare, yeah, let's do
Yeah,
flare.
Hmong power.
Oh, yeah, Hmong people. And when he brought me out there wasn't that much Hmong people too. It was a diverse group, so that's why I said it's the scene, and there were people who were experienced too, and they've been breaking for a while. So it was crazy though. This dude started biting his shoe. He started doing forward, biting his shoe again. He gonna bite his shoe. I thought, what the hell?
Did you beat him?
It's like a rare Pokemon. Yeah, I beat him.
What'd you do?
I don't know, a bunch of power.
Ground power, hey!
Windmill,
Ground power kid, man.
flare.
The ground power
I beat
master,
him,
man.
and then I went to the next round and I battled one of the guys that me and Zoan knew already, and I think his name's Lou. No, not Lou, but he at that time he was a guy who does headspins, so he's really good at doing headspins. I forgot his name, but then yeah, he beat me. I'm not sure what his ethnicity was. He wasn't Hmong, but he beat me. But that was my first time actually like battling someone. It wasn't a battle where you just battle at maybe
Like,
the
you're saying like
Hmong-
organized jam battle. Is that what you're saying? Like,
It
Or more
I
like
guess it was organized, but at the same time, it was more like you were put under the pressure where everyone was watching you. But then people, you see everyone is breaking too, and they had, like I said, they actually had different styles. It wasn't like everyone just threw out moves. So that's why I feel like, damn, this dude's a rare. Has a rare style, biting his shoe every time he do something. That's freaking weird.
but coming off of that, like first actual like jam battle. What about you, Dala? What's your first actual jam battle? Not like no underground.
first
Like,
jam battle.
Yeah.
Dang.
You talking about something that? You know what?
I feel like I'm thinking it was one of the ones that the Warriors hosted, and we battled OC like as an exhibition at the end. I think it was like a 2-on-2.
Yeah, I think I was too young to go out
that
those
was
times.
crew on crew. That was when ISC versus Optimistic.
Yeah.
And our crew versus their crew.
Yeah, but was it like an exhibition or was it
Yeah,
like
it was
an
just it was an exhibition.
I think
That was way back, right?
Yeah, that
Like,
was
I couldn't even
long.
go out those times, man.
I think that was. I mean, that's the first thing that popped in my mind. I can't really remember the first actual. Yeah, but I think that might be it. Yeah.
I remember my first one. It was at League of the Undergrounds. You remember how like you got battle 1-on-1, and then when you earn a point, and then there's like 3 or 4 of them, and if you're like the top 3, you get put into the Falling with Style 7 to Smoke, where he flew out like Kevo and the whole squadron. So at that time, yeah, that was my first jam battle. I think I was like 14, and I think that's when like I found my name too, King Kong, because I remember I was like signing up, like, man, what should my name be? I was thinking some dumb ass name. B-boy Monkey Kong, man. I'm Monkey Kong. But then I remember Matt one day, like before that, like a time before that jam, told me, "Dude, you just name yourself King Kong," you know. So I'm like, I'm gonna just sign him as King Kong. Boom, B-Boy King Kong. My first ever B-Boy battle and my first ever jam was B-Boy Abide.
Dang.
Yeah. And I remember I did pretty good too against him, man. Like, I did like cheap air flares, warm to edge chair. But I wasn't listening to the music, but I was on beat. So everybody's like, oh, you know, I never even realized I was on beat until like I watched the footage afterwards, you know? But yeah, that was my first actual like jam battle. Other than some underground like battle where you just meet people up and like battle, you know, out of nowhere.
I just say my first real jam battle was that New Who Biz. Yeah. To me, that's still a jam because that's still people getting together and breaking.
Judging and everything. And
Yeah, it was just, I don't even know who the judges were because it was, I don't know, it's so different from what it is now. It feels, to me, I guess it's not really a jam, but at that time it felt to me it was a jam because it was a bunch of dancers coming together and then we paid everyone to sign up and battle. I don't even think there was any prize money. People just battle.
Yeah.
It was so small. That was like the whole community. Just it was probably like maybe 20, maybe not even 20, maybe even less most. And that was crazy. Ever since then, and then yeah, after that, our cousin Zoe started taking me out more, and then I started seeing them a little bit more. But yeah, I guess to me that will always be my first experience battling.
So we talked about how we got into breaking. How did our crew form? You want to start off on that, Koo?
Yeah, so
Our crew, damn, it's a little bit complicated. So our crew isn't called the Loonies now, but before that, we were two crews who joined into one crew. So the first crew, from what I could tell from my side, is me, Dala, Kong, and some of the other guys formed a crew called ISC, which is Impossible Skills Crew. And we came up with that name because
Over
we were all
MSN.
Yeah, we were on MSN.
And
Like,
me and
we should
Dala
think
were
of a crew
just,
name.
me and Dala we were just messaging each other. What's the crew name? No, we came up with some dumb name. And who came up with the word is impossible?
I did, because I was like, dude, our skills are like impossible to do, bro.
Skills with a Z.
You know what's funny? I remember I brought up the name, yo, we should be called Essence Crew because of RuneScape. But now you think about it, it would have been a dope name, bro.
No, ISC still go hard.
Yeah, ISC still go hard.
ISC still go hard.
We were, at that time, me and Dala, because I'd go to Dala's house a lot on the weekends, and then Dala would bring his friends over who are our crewmates, which is Wolty, Ben, Eamon, Moore. Is that?
I think that was it. Yeah,
Initially. Yep. And then I remember too, because I remember when I came over, I think it was like you guys are having a family event, and I came downstairs, and you were telling me to like do some moves. And I saw Wolty and Moore sitting on the corner of the wall, just watching me break. I was like, oh shit, like, who are these guys?
Dude, I remember I was hype. I was like,
Yeah, you were like,
yo, my clothes are good, bro. Yo, wait till y'all see my clothes. Y'all think I'm good? Wait till you see my clothes, bro.
Yo, those are...
I was hella hype about my clothes. Cool, man.
Did you say you threw like your freeze and you were like, whoa?
Yeah, we were just like, because we used to ball in the neighborhood, like just in the streets. And I was like, yeah, y'all break? I know how to do a couple breaking moves. So I did like a couple Nike freezes. And I was kind of surprised because Wolty actually knew how to do like crabs and crickets. I was like, the heck? Like, okay, this dude break. But he knew how to do, but yeah, and then I was like, wait till y'all see my cousin. Cool, man. Y'all gonna be like, damn.
I was doing my power moves, and they were just in the corner, put their hands on the bag, just on the walls, watching me. And I was thinking, wait, I thought we were gonna all break together, but I thought, oh shoot,
You thought it was a break session? Boy, it's a showcase.
I just want to show you to my friends, bro.
That's the first time I met them too.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, what? Okay.
And then I think eventually you're like, hey man, we should start a crew and recruit a couple guys.
After that, along the way they started practicing with you too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then we were thinking, yo, let's create a crew, and then
Mhm.
we were coming up with some names on MSN, and then you were like Impossible Skills Crew. We were like, yeah, let's stick with that.
Yeah, we should have chose Essence, bro.
And then
Yeah,
we
nah.
recruited the guys to the crew ever since then, and that's outside of the story. But with the other side of the crew, the other half was they were already in the crew.
The
And
first generation
yeah,
of the Looney Tunes.
we would call them the first generation. I don't call them the first generation. Well, with the crew, they were the first generation of the crew. But when they were in the crew already, but I guess the crew didn't work out, so they split ways.
Yeah, they were formerly collaboration crew, and then they broke up. The first generation Looney Tune guys like Zeus and them, they formed Break Brats, so they stepped away from collaboration.
So yeah, so collaboration was their crew. They all broke off. Not all. Half of them broke off, and half of the other group broke off. And the ones who pretty much got broken off from collaboration, they created their own crew, which was called Break Brats. And along the way, because our cousin Zool was part of the group that broke off and became Break Brats, we were always close to him already because he's our cousin. So we started breaking with him, obviously. And at that time too, Zool lived a block away from Dala,
Mhm.
and Dala lived a few houses away from all the ISC crew
Yeah.
with the Impossible Skills crew that we created. They would always go to Zool's house, and Zool always come over whenever they practiced too. So it was always something that we connected with. It was family and the connection where they were close together. Along the ways, since we all were breaking together anyways, they decided, hey, let's recruit you guys to be in our crew. And then they recruited us to be in their crew, which then our name turned into Looney Tunes. I think the name was already Looney
No,
Tunes.
they were Break Brats, and then they changed to Looney Tunes, and then they recruited us
Mhm.
like soon afterwards. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's why I said we were Generation 2. You know. Yeah.
yeah, the only reason why I said I guess the crew generation is different. I'm thinking about breaking generation.
Yeah,
No,
you're
'cause
like you already
I-
definitely
I'm like, no,
started
I've been
before
breaking
then,
for
but
a lot of you guys.
Right, right.
but talking about like
Well,
just
talking about
crew
the crew
wise, yeah,
generation,
we're
yeah,
like
they
we're
the
second generation.
generation, and then they recruited us, and then we became the Looney Tunes, and that's how we all got formed as the Looney Tunes. Along the way, we decided to change our name to the Loonies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's pretty much
That's
the
how the
story.
crew started. Yup.
Yeah.
Obviously, having a crew is a blessing. What do you guys define as a crew? Kong, what do you define as a crew?
Yeah, for me, every time I get asked that, like back then, it was kind of hard to like explain, but really all it is just family and a good relationship, with your crew, uh, like a brotherhood or familyhood. That that's more than just breaking. I feel like that's a crew. For us, a lot of us stopped. Uh, some of us stop every now and then, but we're always still connected, right? We're always still there for each other. Um, Basically, just like a strong relationship that's more than just breaking. We always have each other's back, basically. But till this day, it's still hard to explain. But it's basically family. That's like the cliche way to explain it, but that's literally what a real crew is. You're always there for each other in life, in breaking, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then for us, obviously, we are actual family, so
Yeah.
that actually plays a big role. You
Yeah,
know,
it makes it
me,
easier,
Kong, we're
yeah.
cousins. Zeus is our cousin, so it was literally family from the beginning. And then you meet friends when you become a crew, and then your crew pretty much becomes your family through just all the years of being together and battling and practicing. So it is just like Kong said, it's pretty much a crew for me is a family, and everybody that's in the crew is like brother for life, family for life. I feel they're lifelong friends. So, what about you, Koo?
Yeah, pretty much what you guys said. I did at that time when we were younger, I had a lot of people did come ask me, and they would ask me, "Hey, yo, how do I get in your crew, or how do I get in the crew?" And a lot of times I would just tell them, I don't know, just go hang out with them, or do you really know them? I think a lot of people they think being in the crew, you can only get in the crew if you're good at breaking,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they mistaken it to where they don't think of you have to be close to each other and know each other well. They don't think, hey, if I'm good, I could join that crew. So a lot of times, when I was younger, a lot of people do come up to me and ask me, yo, how do I join your crew? How do I join your crew? And I would just tell them, I don't know. Have you met? Have you hung out with us, or have you really just get to know everyone? And it's really hard because a lot of people think it's just skill based or dancing based,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like a crew is more. Even though that does play a factor in getting into a crew,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more like a family based. If you don't hang out with us and no one really vibes with you, then that's yeah, I can't say. That's why when we recruited our crew member Chris, I met him since in high school, and as a freshman I met him, and he would always ask me, "How do I get in the crew? How do I get in the crew?" I
Since
keep
day
telling him, "I don't
one.
know, man. You just gotta come hang out. You just gotta vibe with us." And to me, I don't have a
You just
say.
gotta apply.
You gotta look at your resume.
Send in your application, boy.
At the time, he was, I guess, starting out too. So I would say, hey, I don't know. The crew doesn't really know you. Even though me and you are close since we went to high school together, hey, I can't just be like, yo, he's in the crew now. No, because I don't have a say. I feel like our crew, a lot of people, when they look at a crew, they feel like there's one leader in the crew.
Mhm.
So
Like a
who's the
business
leader
or
in the
something.
crew? To us, there's no leader in the crew. We are our leaders. We all have a say. So when someone asks me how do I get in your crew, I can't say. Even if I'm super close to you, that I feel like you should be in the crew. Everyone else may think different, and if they think different, then hey, man, you can't be because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to handle when crew shit goes down. You're gonna have to handle it with the crew. Like, you can't just be like, yeah, I don't like this dude, so I'm gonna do it.
Mhm.
Because a lot of those stuff happen in the crews
Mm-hmm.
where they get into confrontations and they're like, I'm gonna quit. And to me, when you're in the crew, our crew at least, then you're pretty much family, which we all are family. We all have been close to each other, and a bunch of us know each other's family too. So it's deeper than that.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So family vibes. That's pretty much what we would say as a crew. You
Yeah,
gotta be able to
family
vibe out
as a whole, basically.
and be a fam.
Yep.
And then so breaking. Who inspired you to break? Who are people that
Yeah.
inspired you to break?
For me, there's like a handful of people that like I can say on my come up really inspired me and influenced me. For sure, knowing Zeus, who brought breaking into, and me and basically us, our three of our lives, basically,
Mhm.
and like also not just bringing it to us, but like being a dope ass b boy too. Like he like really inspired me to dance and like be better. So he's like one of them. Another one would be for me is b boy Casper from Boogie Brats. I how like for me, I don't know how if you guys went through this phase, but when I first started dancing, I just danced just because everybody did it.
Mhm.
I didn't really understand the essence of the dance, and so I was just doing moves and stuff. My form was like not good, I didn't really care much about the music until YouTube came along and I watched Boogie Brats at the gym, Koosh Crash Test, and I think it was in Seattle. It was like 2010s. It was Casper and K Mel. It was a 2-on-2, and they smoked everybody. They battled. They battled a bunch of people. Well, I don't want to say smoke, but they definitely won. And watching all the battles, like they were the only ones who were like you could feel the energy. They were dancing. They were confident. You know, and Casper like showed that to me, like, yo, this is what breaking is. And then ever since that day, I knew how to break. I danced to the music. I was confident. I grabbed my hat and all that. Yeah. So Casper also, even though I met him once, but I never really got to connect with him like that. But even without knowing him and just seeing him dance, like he taught me what breaking was and what real breaking was. So that was like another important b-boy who inspired me to be a better b-boy. And then another I would say is the Lore Brothers, Villain Impact, Underground Flow, Kenjas. Meeting them, they were dope, but not only that, they were like down to earth, good, honest people. When I first met them, they just treated me like a little brother right away, and they were always willing to lend out their hand. I can send them a Facebook message, they'll reply back genuinely to like my questions or guide me. So I would say like off the top of my head, those four b-boys: Zeus, Casper, Villain, and Impact, who inspired me and influenced me to be a better like b-boy and person in general.
Cool, nice.
So we're talking about who first inspired you, or who just inspired you?
Just in general, yeah, just in general,
inspire
yeah.
you.
Too much.
Yeah,
Man.
But the main ones, man.
yeah. So
Like we could say like the Minnesota scene, obviously in general, influence us and inspire us too. Yeah.
but yeah, the main ones. Go ahead, cool. Or if
I
you
can
don't-
go.
Mhm.
So yeah, obviously Zool. To me, Zool, my cousin Zool is the one who, when I think about inspiration, he's always the top for me.
Mhm.
And because made he was pretty much the one who made me start. Even when I didn't want to break, he would force me to go break at times. And I didn't like it at first. I was, man, what the hell is the force me to break? Because I was a little kid, man. I just want to go play tag and shit,
Yeah.
But then when I started, now I got older and I started falling in love with it. I saw why he was pushing me. Because he was like, oh, this dude's going to be good. That's why he was pushing me. So he's always the top for me. And I would say the second for me is just, to me, a lot of times, what really inspires me is just a lot of the local Minnesota b-boys and b-girls. Because every time I would go out to go practice, I'd always see just a bunch of just the b-boys and b-girls come practice. And I'd always see a bunch of them. And even though some kind of drifted off to their own passion, there were still those local b-boys that kept coming to practice. And I thought to myself, damn, it's crazy. And there were times when I came upon a time where I thought to myself, man, should I just stop breaking? Where the passion kind of fell off. Every time I go to practice, I always see them there still practicing. So I thought to myself, damn, what pushes you to practice? So I guess just seeing them coming to practice, it inspires me to practice. So that within itself is an inspiration to me. Like, damn, these guys are still doing it. Why am I being little a little bitch, sort of say.
So besides Zeus and the other specific b-boys that specifically, like boom, they inspire me, like Concept Casper, Kamel,
Yeah.
any specific b-boys.
I would say, I always say this to myself. I want to be b-boy physics before I die. I always say that.
Yeah.
Even though he does inspire
The
me,
God.
but I call him the God. This dude's the
the
God.
God, man.
In the joking way, it's like an inside joke, but I always wanted to be him. And I don't know, Stripes is an influence to me too. I've just met him casually, but I never actually got to talk to him. But he's an inspiration. The Lore Brothers, Villain and Impact, were inspiration to me. Just meeting them and just knowing who they are, and just knowing that their heart they're really like they're really guys when they do something, they're doing it at the bottom of their heart. They're not just doing it and expecting you to do something back for them.
Yeah, living passionately. Yeah.
And uh, shoot, I don't know. I'll just say it. There's some b boys and b girls that inspire me, but I guess it's just not to the point where I can think of it right now.
Yeah. For
What
me,
about you, Dala? Yeah.
for sure, my fam, man, Cool, Kong, Zeus, for sure. Like I said, my first experience was just seeing my cousins get down.
Yeah.
So from there, they've always been my inspiration. Shit, I saw Cool doing 90. I was like, man, I'm gonna learn 90. I saw Cool and Kong doing 2000. Man, I'm gonna learn 2000, man. Like everything that they were learning, I was trying to learn too. Cause those guys, yeah, these guys, they're my biggest inspiration. Other b-boys specifically, Dizzy from Supernaturals, just for his really dope original footworks. Born for his swag. And I remember Zeus also showing us Battle of the Year when Gamblers took first.
Yeah.
And I was like, Gamblers crew, my God. Like the way they powered. The End, Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Like they were like the first official crew that I was like, yo, they're freaking dope. Like they hella inspired me. Like, yeah, I want to be just like them. I want to be hella dope. And then, of course, the God Physics, man. that dude is a
timeless,
legend,
man.
man. So, you know, just my fam, Gamblers crew, Physics, Born, Dizzy, to be specific. Yeah, that's for me, man. But
Yeah, and I sure like for all of us, just in general, like we know that our like first contact or immediate inspiration is from each other. You know, our crew, our scene, our competitors. You know, those are like the immediate, real time inspiration too that inspires you and pushes you every day. You know, so yeah, for sure those two.
yeah, and of course it changes through time, through the career, through like, you know, breaking. Eventually, 5 years down the road, you're like, oh, you see somebody else who's hella dope who inspires you.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
initial, you know, the initial inspiration was boom. That's how
Yeah,
I feel.
for
That's
me
how
too,
we feel, and that's super dope. You know, because you don't know who we have inspired along the way too. You know, so the inspiration carries on. And speaking on that, you know, obviously we've been breaking for a long time. What are you guys' name one favorite moment that you had through Breakin? We'll start with you, Kong.
Yeah, so favorite moments, I do have a lot, but number one on the top of my head would be when a lot of us from Minnesota traveled down to Florida for Freestyle Session Florida qualifier. I think this was like 2011, somewhere around that line. We had a exhibition battle, Young Florida versus Minnesota, and that trip in itself, including like the breaking experience, was like one of the best moments I had. I believe I was like 12 that time.
Really? Dang.
No, not 12, 14. Oh, actually, not even 14, but 16.
Yeah, I was
16.
like, you gotta be at
Tripping,
least
man.
16.
Tripping,
like-
man. 16, yeah. So,
12.
I'm tripping,
How you
man.
gonna play? Yeah.
Little small camera play.
Alright, so I think it was like 12 of us, right? 12, 15 of us that
Dude,
went.
it was deep. It was probably even
We-
20, bro.
So there was so many good memories. Like you guys can even like interrupt me if you guys want. Like next one, you know, rest in peace to him. You know, it's always the guy. He set this up for us because he saw a lot of potential in our scene at the time, and he even rented what SUV for us.
Big van,
big
bro.
van.
Like a 20.
There was 14 of us. So the first row, you know, usually there's only the driver and the passenger seat. Nope, it's a whole seat row right there. The second row, I think that was it. The second row. Then after that, it was just an empty space that the rest of us had to cramp in. We were like sitting on each other's legs and all that, like during driving. We just had a lot of good memories, man. That, like, especially being young, a lot of us, yeah, and we also slept over at the biggest and baddest studio, not the newest one, but the one before that one, the smaller one. Oh yeah, the B-boy spot, yeah. So that was my favorite experience, just because there was a lot of us, and we just had a lot of crazy moments that probably won't happen again, you know.
Yeah, so many good memories on that trip. Yeah, definitely. Cool. Your favorite breaking moment?
Strictly breaking or just experience? I guess
Yeah, just
I would
Breaking
say
breaking
experience.
experience. Yeah.
just all the Minnesota verse this state, Minnesota verse this city. Like for example, Consa, Minnesota verse Young Florida, Minnesota verse New York, Minnesota verse Chicago, Minnesota verse San Diego. Those four moments were, I guess, I would say the most special moment because it actually put us on the spot. They're actually people who gave us opportunities. Because at the time we were young, we were blowing up, but Minnesota was a spot where when people looked at Minnesota, they're thinking, "Who the hell is in Minnesota? Who goes to Minnesota to dance? There's no dancers down there or in Minnesota." So when we were coming up and we were making the names for ourselves, X1, he gave us the chance to actually put our scene out there. That's when he created Minnesota versus Young Florida. And when he did that, that's when a bunch of people took notice. And that's when Minnesota versus Chicago took place. And after that, Minnesota versus New York took place. And then Minnesota versus San Diego took place. I think just having to experience this, it's probably the best experience for me because I get to represent my scene and my dance scene. Because at that time, before that, no one knew what Minnesota was. But for them to give us this opportunity to showcase the b boys or just us dancers, it pretty much just showed the world that Minnesota's they're hungry. And ever since then, it kind of people started noticing us and they started recognizing that we were something to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
And people pretty much, oh, you're from Minnesota. Oh, Minnesota, these guys or these people. Oh shit, that's dope. But before that, no one knew what the hell. What's in Minnesota?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was my favorite moments. Those four moments, I would say.
Okay. Dope.
What about you, Dala?
My favorite breaking moment is Minnesota. We went down to New York. Was it Minnesota versus New York, or was it just New York? We just went to New York for a battle. It was like the universities.
New York, but there was also
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's that university battle.
Yeah. So it was the exhibition. And it's funny. I'm not even part of the battle, but like during the exhibition, like shout outs to OC. We was running with OC, Optimistic Crew, and I just remember that battle was pretty heated because Walty got hit in the face like on accident, so it got pretty heated, and people had we had to like get calm down, push each other back, and I just remember when Boogie B went in, and it was Renegades of Funk, and when we got to he was like hella killing it and just getting down, and then it was to the part where the lyrics was like jam sucker jam or
we all got hit.
yeah, and we all like Boogie B, like he didn't even need to tell us, he just was dancing and he just turned around and pointed at us like boom right on the beat, and boom we all just started going jam
that
sucker
connection,
jam,
bro.
like bam sucker bam, like it was so dope. Like that moment when it happened, it just felt like we were so connected that like nothing could stop us. And I even told Boogie B that like, yo, that's my favorite moment ever when it comes to breaking. Like we were, because it was heated and there was like, it was almost like a fight almost, but then we stayed strong, we stayed connected, and that little moment just felt like a bond that was so strong, and we were connected.
That's
Couldn't be defeated.
so good because
Yeah.
we especially there is a pressure in it too because when we go out we're representing our scene. So we have and the support was always there for us. Everyone was always there for us from the scene. That always showed mad love, like go out there and kill it. So everyone was all supportive. To me, I felt like all right, there is that pressure where I gotta go represent Minnesota. And that's why it's so beautiful that we actually got the chance and the opportunity to do that, to actually show them, all right, man, all right, you can't just fuck around with us too,
Right.
Because at that time our scene, they had history on their side. A bunch of them, they had history and they had dope b boys who came out from their scene, and we had some dope b boys too, but our scene was
Small
relatively young
underground,
too.
yeah, small underground. Yeah. And then, you mentioned that we had that like sync moment during the Minnesota versus New York battle. I realized we had that a moment like that for every battle. You know, like for example, Young Florida versus Minnesota. I remember that specific moment we had something similar to that. Like there was a song. Wati was going in, and the song was the na 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 yeah 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 goodbye. Right when it says yeah yeah yeah, we all say goodbye. You know, like but we didn't talk to each other to do that. We just all did it together. You know, and so that was dope. You know, it showed that we had that like connection. Which
Yeah, hella dope. I mean, man, we were breaking for so long. There's so many good breaking memories and moments. It's endless.
Yeah. It's too crazy. You want to get into details? We could go on for days.
Yeah, we could go on for days. But all right, fellas, we wanted to kind of introduce a little history on our breaking. One of our passions that we all share together, and just talk about the beginning of the crew, favorite moments, inspirations. So hope you guys enjoyed. Any last words, Kong and Ku?
We do have a YouTube channel too, so make sure to follow our YouTube channel. And yeah.
I don't have much to say. Just that. Other than that, this podcast we kind of just want to talk about what we're passionate about, so you guys can know more a little bit of who we are, in our background. That's it.
Yeah, if you're talking about background, the background here is all breaking pretty much.
Yeah, 95%.
B-boying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout outs to all the B-boys.
Yeah.
Shout outs to all the B-girls. And thank you very much for watching. Peace out.